When you chase things, it repels them. There's a shift in your energy when you decide to let go, when you decide to not be grasping, clinging, forcing, etc. There's a shift in your body. It goes from tense when you're forcing to relaxed and open when you're in flow. So the tighter you hold on, the more resistance you create. And resistance is always an experience of unnecessary suffering. Whenever you're resisting something, it's something occurring in the present moment that you are struggling against, typically because subconscious patterns and emotional wounds are controlling you in that moment, and you don't even recognize it. You just find yourself stuck in these patterns, and they're deeply unconscious. So clinging is rooted in fear. It's rooted in scarcity. It's rooted in ego. Ego is a very overused word. When I'm using the word ego, I'm just referring to the psychological self and all of its mechanisms, not just someone who's being full of themselves, although, of course, that could go into my definition. But I'm talking about the actual psychological and spiritual aspect of this word. Right? It's your actual sense of self, your self-concept, who you believe you are, and your sense of separateness from other. So true abundance comes when you release attachment. I'm sure you've probably heard this before. And true abundance doesn't have to necessarily mean getting the thing that you want, although sure it can. True abundance can also just mean being deeply in tune with life. Being in alignment with yourself, which is what you really want. You really want to actually just be in alignment with yourself. Often, the things that you want in your life, those surface level things like money or sex or status or security, things like this, they're not actually what you want deep down. Not that there's anything wrong with those things. Those are basic human needs. But those things that you truly want, right, that's below the surface, typically, of your everyday awareness. Unless you're inquiring into them. Unless you're really shining your light of attention on those things. Unless you're intentionally bringing it to the forefront of your consciousness. So true abundance flows when you release attachment. This allows you to be more in tune with yourself, which is what you really want. You really want to be fully who you are. This is one of the deepest desires you have. To be fully yourself, your full embodied self, even beyond the ego. To fully embody your individuality, but also the essence of who and what you actually are. On a spiritual level, on an existential level, to fully recognize your infinite nature. So let's talk a little bit about the psychology behind clinging, so we can get a little bit more of an idea of like what's going on here. So the fear of loss, which is why you're clinging on to the thing, right? There's a fear that's controlling you. The fear of loss triggers survival instincts inside of you, which leads to grasping behavior. So there's a fear in the background controlling you that you're not actually aware of, that you need to shine the light of your awareness on. So the subconscious associates this holding on with security. When in actuality, in reality, it just creates tension. It doesn't actually bring you security. It's like you're just chasing for security, but it never actually comes. Instead, a lot of real security is found in fully embracing insecurity. Very paradoxical stuff, and this video will be full of things like that. This doesn't mean that you can't have a more secure environment for yourself, but after a certain point of getting your needs met, where you have food, you have some basic connections in your life, you have a shelter, right? Real security and that deep desire for security is never going to get met by just more of what I want, more of what I want, more of what I want. It's going to get met by surrendering to the true insecurity of life, the fact that there's no security in form. Nothing is going to fulfill that, and you have to bring that insecure part of you to the light of your awareness and make peace with that. Counterintuitively, by fully embracing this deep insecurity, you actually start to feel more secure. You feel more alive. You feel more connected to life because it's raw, it's actual, it's true. It's what's going on inside of you. You feel connected to yourself rather than suppressing this feeling of insecurity and this part of you that wants it. You learn how to bring it out. You learn how to embrace things like uncertainty and insecurity. Because truly, we're all deeply insecure. Not in the traditional sense of using that word, although, yeah, to a large degree, there's insecurities in basically everyone. But I mean this more so in like an existential sense, that there's no real security to be found in the world of form, in the world of just getting more of what I want. That part of you that deeply wants security, that gets met through self-transcendence, through going beyond the ego. The ego is fighting a losing battle of just grasping on for more and more and more and more, and it's never enough. Have you noticed that? Everything you do for security, it seems to never be enough. So the subconscious associates this holding on with security. Of course, that never comes. It creates tension. It's very uncomfortable. It's a lot of unnecessary suffering. It's draining. You're giving your energy to this. You're just reinforcing emotional wounds. And what you chased often reflects an internal void. An example is seeking validation and then feeling unworthy inside, because you have that unworthiness wound and you're actually just trying to get that need met by getting the validation of another person, when in actuality, of course, there's nothing wrong with validation or anything like that. But the real way to actually get that need met is by healing that part of you, learning to bring it to awareness and integrate that energy, those feelings, those thoughts, learning to bring this part of you into your conscious mind rather than repressed and kind of in the background, yet still controlling you. You're bringing it out of the shadow. So let's talk about how clinging creates scarcity. So attachment to outcomes increases anxiety, makes you very desperate, and it repels what it is that you want. This is a fairly basic idea. Imagine if someone was trying to force you into a relationship and they were very desperate. Of course, that's not attractive to you. You're very repelled by that. So a scarcity mindset blinds you to opportunities. And this is deeper than just like mindset and, again, the traditional way of saying this. Your mindset is going to come from deeper wounds, past experiences, deep psychological structures that need to be investigated with your conscious awareness and healed. So these background wounds that you have in the subconscious, in the shadow, they make your focus very narrow. You focus on not enough, constantly not enough. There's never enough. And the universe simply mirrors your energy. So if you're always in this experience and you have all these beliefs and you always have, you're giving it all these signals of I don't have enough, you just keep not having it. You recreate this experience of not having enough. Don't have it. You're wiring your mind to be this way by repetitively doing it. This is literally how you're wiring your subconscious mind to be that way. So you might never even get the particular thing or person that you desire, right? The thing that your ego wants. And that's part of life. The psychological energy behind I don't have it, is actually the real problem most of the time. It's not whether or not you get the surface level thing that you want. The real problem is that you have all this energy that's creating a lot of unnecessary suffering. The psychological energy behind I don't have what I want, is often more of a problem than whether or not you have the thing itself. The fact that you're wiring yourself to always be tense and in survival mode rather than present, grounded, connected, able to assert yourself when you have to and then let go when you have to, able to ride the flow of life, get your needs met, learn how to function as an ego and learn how to let go of the ego. Very paradoxical. It's all about kind of balance, adaptability, flexibility. So let's talk about the energy of letting go. Surrender opens the space for flow. Flow is basically just allowing life to unfold naturally and as it is, and we interfere with that nonstop. An emotion arises that we don't like, we try and push it away. Thoughts arise that we don't like, we try and push those away. There's a lot of self-interference, there's a lot of force in the external world, and it's our job to actually let go. And this deeper trust allows you to be more magnetic because you're not wasting your energy forcing, interfering, etc. Your energy is actually just going to yourself. Your energy is more grounded rather than you wasting it all the time and feeling exhausted. So surrender opens space for flow. And this doesn't mean that you don't ever be assertive, but this means more so a continuous ability to respond to the needs of the present experience and being deeply connected to it and aware of it rather than acting out of background habitual subconscious patterns that are mainly there for just defense and ego. So a core part of this is really self-actualization, self-transcendence. And there's genuine psychological work and spiritual practice that has to be done to actually get those kinds of results, right? That's the thing that a lot of people don't want to hear. They just want the thing that they want. It's a shame. So non-attachment is not indifference. In fact, someone who's deeply not attached is so not attached that they're not afraid of being attached. Again, very paradoxical stuff. So non-attachment is not indifference. It's a deep confidence that things simply come and go. It's the deep recognition of impermanence, of everything in life coming and going, and being able to ride this moment by moment impermanence. The energy, the sensations are always moving, and you're able to flow with life without resistance, without interference, with trust in the bigger picture. And when you actually start surrendering to life, you feel the actual intelligence of the nature of reality, not as a belief, some new age superstition, but like your direct perception, your actual experience. When you're able to surrender and let go of a bunch of the noise, a lot of deeper truths arise that they won't arise with a lot of deep. Let me just rephrase that. When you're able to surrender and let go of the noise, a lot of deeper truths arise that couldn't arise otherwise, because there's just so much noise. You're so distracted. You're so all over the place. You don't give it the space to come up. So people, money, success, etc. come easier when you stop chasing. Instead, you just become magnetic. You become grounded in yourself. You become fully embodied in yourself. Your energy is not being blown here and there. Let's talk about practical shifts so you can actually let go and not always be so clingy and grasping on for stuff, etc. This is just Ego 101. Number one is awareness. I talk about this in every single video that I have. So notice where you're clinging. Right? Learn how to be the witness of experience. Practice meditation. Right? What are you clinging to? Validation, control, money, sex, status, security. What's the thing that you're clinging to? Recognize the clinging. Feel it in your body. Notice the energy of it. Be the witness of your experience and learn how to just allow the energy to move naturally as it does. Learn to release control of what you're feeling and experiencing and allow the energy to move and move with it. This becomes very obvious when you get more sensitive to energy and you actually spend some time doing a spiritual practice like meditation. You take that practice pretty deep. Right? This can sound kind of new agey and fluffy on the surface, but this is a lived experience that I'm actually pointing to. So you gotta shift your focus from I need this to trusting life. From desperation and ego and this very narrow, limited agenda that the ego has, it's all about personal survival, to trusting the bigger picture. Trusting in the intelligence of the nature of reality and the intelligent and impermanent flow of life. The constantly changing nature of life and its deep wisdom and intelligence, which of course the ego doesn't want to do. The ego wants to feel grounded. The ego wants to feel static and unchanging and fixed and rigid and this is me, but of course this is all kind of like illusory. Everything's in constant change, flow. Reality is very dynamic, right? The ego is really born on a bunch of things, but one of them in particular being the fear of impermanence. The fear of that sense of constant change, which is happening right now. You got to get grounded in the chaos, right? All the things that you don't want to embrace, you have to start looking them right in the face and beginning to embrace them rather than repress them. So detachment practice, meditating on impermanence, right? Meditating and feeling it viscerally, every sensation, every thought arising and passing, and recognizing this flow and surrendering yourself to it and recognizing the wisdom of doing that rather than being a big fat ego and just clinging and screaming and all this stuff. Right? You kind of have two options here. You can go with the flow of life willingly and trust it. Right? This doesn't mean like you're a sheep, right? I'm not using the flow of life in that sense at the moment, but you're trusting the actual felt experience and rhythm of life and what you're naturally attracted to. You can trust that and be in deep connection with that. Or you can kick and scream the whole way. It's up to you. A core point here is releasing control. The ego really wants to be in control. It thinks I'm this human who has all this control. Set intentions, right? Take actions, let go of control. Take aligned action. Take conscious action. Take time to be still. See what arises, act from there. See how things unfold. Trial and error. Learn, experiment, gain knowledge, gain wisdom, but let go of the outcome. Let go of needing to control every single thing in every moment. Learn to just trust this experience rather than always being unconsciously in survival mode. That's it for this one. If you guys are interested in working one-to-one with me, you can apply to do so. I'm doing one-to-one coaching. Link is in the pinned comment. See you later.